Ready? Let's call the meeting of the Anderson School District 3 Board to order. At this time, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think we have a class. Here we do. At this time, we will observe a moment of silence. Let's remember the season that we're in, all the individuals here, and our teachers and faculty and staff and everything that we appreciate that y'all do. So let's take a moment. Thank you. At this time, we need approval for the agenda. Do we have any additions or changes?
No.
Hearing none, I'll ask for approval.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? 5-0. Hope everyone's had an opportunity to look over the minutes from our last meeting. Do we have any additions or changes that need to be made at this time? Hearing none, ask for a motion for approval.
Motion for the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? 5-0. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Hipp.
All right.
Accommodations.
We're always excited to have a room full of students and parents with us so that we can recognize the great things that are happening in our schools. I want to thank Mr. Spear for everything he does for our orchestra program. He started the program in 2019 and it has continued to grow. And you all are doing outstanding work. So we want to recognize those of you who made the all-county orchestra. I will start with the students from Crescent. So Bailey Brown. Oh, yeah, come on up, sorry. You thought I was calling roll, didn't you? That's okay, stay up here. Amelia Simpola. Gabriel, I'm sorry. Chance Pollard. Joshua Owens. Maximino Velez. Here, okay. Brianna Whitfield. Okay, yes. All right, at this time, we will recognize the Star Iva Middle School All-County Orchestra participants. Daniel Barton, Morgan Brown. Okay. Lillian Pearson. Dustin Ross. Wrestling, okay. Larry Owensby. Okay. Jack Wiles. And Kason Whitfield. All right, Mr. Spear, if you will come again with this group. All right, now, Kason, if you will stay. Now, you're not in trouble. I just thought I wouldn't let you sit down. We also have our first ever region orchestra participant, which is a big deal for us, Kason Whitfield, so we want to recognize you separately for that. That's quite an achievement, and we're proud of you. Do you want to put the region hoodie on? Yes. Okay. Of course we need the hoodie. And put that one on there. Congratulations. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Parents, we're proud of your children. I know you're proud of your children. I've heard them play. They're phenomenal. And so I'm just excited about where we're going with the orchestra program. So, you're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the meeting if you would like. If not, it's within appropriate time for you to exit. But you're welcome.
Have any at this time, so we're going to turn over to Dr. Estes for AIT update.
How do you want me to face?
However you want to do it.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Sorry, my back's to y'all. Okay, this is fancy. Huh? Like this? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It's been a long day already. Chairman Watts, Ms. Hipp, Board of Trustees, thank you so much for inviting me this evening to talk about AIT. It's probably one of my favorite subjects to talk about. So again, we proudly serve our students from Anderson 3, 4, and 5, and I really mean that we proudly serve them. These are the current majors that are offered at AIT. We have aerospace engineering, automotive, biomed, computer science, cosmetology, digital art, electricity, fire services, health science, horticulture, mechatronics, media technology, networking, plant and animal systems, pre-engineering, which is Project Lead the Way, welding technology. And please, anytime during the presentation, if you have any questions about anything, please just stop me. So to start off, I know that Ms. Hip loves data, and I love data myself. I'm a data nerd. So these are some enrollment numbers for the last several years at AIT. So there's obviously a lot of different colors up there. So the turquoise color is the overall AIT enrollment, which is it's unduplicated. This is the count that we present to the State Department on the 10th day of school every year. So that is the first number in the turquoise. The second number, which is typically a little higher, which is great, this is a duplicated number. So what this is a count of actually how many bodies are in our building throughout the year. And the reason why there's a difference is because some of our students, say for example, cosmetology, they stay at school all year. So they're counted twice for that, but we don't count them as our 10-day count. Also, we have some students that just choose to come and either take another program, try to hurry and finish up their other programs. For example, I was in a welding class today, and two of the students who are completers want to come back and just start another course because they, you know what I mean, just totally different pathway. So out of those numbers, and the ones that are in that crescent yellow, those are our unduplicated 10-day count for just A3 only, so our crescent students. And then the green, the 164 from 2021-22. Those are our duplicated numbers from A3. So as you can see, following that pattern, actually we had identical, and I don't know 22-23 how the duplicated and the unduplicated numbers were identical. I have no idea. But again, 140 to 170, and then 1153 to 1279 was our enrollment. And as you can see, 168 and then 187. And we are just really excited that this current year we are at our highest numbers ever for the school and then also for A3. So that is really exciting. And that's with being down a program and a half. So that in itself is about 80 students that could possibly be there that, again, we're going to be increasing. We'll talk about program expansion. But this is really exciting news, so we're going to thank also our Crescent High School leadership and staff. We have such great communication, great collaboration, and we couldn't do it without them. So what we do is we set out just information about what our courses, and then students sign up with their IGPs at each of the high schools. So this data indicates how many courses were requested. So again, and this is all A3 data. So back in 21-22, 380 students from Crescent requested courses. 240 students were scheduled. And again, that could be for various different reasons. It could be course just interference. If there's a singleton, say for example, we run in to a problem a lot with like AP Lit, AP Lang, that it coincides at the same exact time. This is something our team, and then also working with the high schools, because we're working with 4 high schools, 3 districts, and trying to get everyone closer to the same page. We're slowly making progress in those areas. But again, as you can see, the numbers, 22-23, 377 course requests, 284 scheduled. And then the course requests continued to increase. However, we did see a drop in actual scheduled students. And Mr. Roberts and I, we continue to talk about, how we can, what we can do about that, what we can do on our end, what I mean, can they do on their end. But I will tell you that we did tours a little differently this year, and there's a lot of excitement. So I do expect that those numbers will continue to increase significantly. Any questions about that thus far? Okay, so this is just a breakdown of the percentage of slots filled by each of our courses. And what I really like about this specific data is it kind of tells us that, okay, well, for example, IT computer science, that is the lowest, enrolled pathway for our Crescent students. So it's great to have that communication with Crescent to see, and students, what is it about the IT computer science, if they're not interested, do they have it, is it duplicated at their home school? So as you can see across the board, all available slots were about 68% filled. And then health science, cosmetology, are always, on the upper level. Ag science, which, to be honest with you, you guys having your own ag science program at Crescent. But again, we're not in competition, and I was very clear with that with all of our feeder schools. We would love to ensure that we offer something that perhaps Crescent and Pendleton does not, and we can all work together to better support students. So again, digital media arts, around the same thing, automotive. I'd like to see that number increase, and that's something internally we're working on. Our welding, electricity, firefighting. Our firefighting class, we've got the largest firefighting class completers that we have ever had this year. And they've all, I found out actually Friday that they all passed their national examination, so we're excited about that. Our engineering, mechatronics, and then biomed. Any questions about any of those numbers? And I shared the same information with y'all last year.
Trustees,
Yes, ma'am.
on the IT computer science, and you may go over this later in the presentation, but just some ideas for increasing that number, the 25%.
Well, I think what we need to do is, number one, that I know at Crescent, their 9th grade schedule is pretty set. They get a lot of their requirements out of the way, and that, from what we've been talking back and forth, that could have something to do with it, because really we don't have many 9th grade Crescent students. Many of them don't start till 10th grade, but you can start taking the IT computer science at 9th grade. So that's something, again, Mr. Roberts and I, will continue to talk about. I will, I'm very transparent, y'all know that about me, is that our networking numbers were continuously kind of on the lower side. I mean, we have one section this year. However, our Project Lead the Way classes continue to grow. And again, we would like to see more of the 9th grade students, if they can fit it into their schedule, come over to AIT. Again, it's just, I think of it, a lot of it is knowledge and understanding of, okay, what do we offer? Is it that computer science that we need for graduation, or is it truly cybersecurity I'm interested in? Is the Project Lead the Way? Is it honors? So again, it's just going to take a lot more conversations. Does that answer, Mrs. Arnold?
It does, thank you.
Is the automotive, is it just the mechanical part of it, or is it auto body also?
We don't do collision. We only do the technology part. And interesting enough, one of another career center in our area who does do both said that it's a good thing that we don't do the collision. They said it's very, very expensive to run. And, but, if that were ever a need for that, we obviously, and I know, you know what I mean, that's a little bit of your background, and we would just have to have a totally separate lab for the collision part, for the painting and all of that.
Do y'all offer anything for heating and air?
Heating and air, we don't do HVAC specifically. However, it is embedded a small section in our electricity course. Our Mr. Haney, who I know previously taught for y'all, he does a part of that in our electricity course. Any other questions? Okay, so again, I think I said this last year, but one of the first things that the superintendent's tasked me with is to look at work-based learning numbers and why were they so low. And I was like, well, let's dig into it. So I'm really excited to look at this. And again, it wasn't that they weren't doing these things, it was just the understanding of how to record things. So back in 21-22, only 50 students in all of AIT were coded in Power School of having work-based learning. So that is, your college career readiness. That could be a school-based enterprise. That can be an internship, a 40-hour internship. That can be just even structured field studies. There's a lot of different options for students. And unfortunately, only 2 Crescent students of that year were coded in Power School of having work-based learning. Following year, the numbers were down even more, 49, and then we only had 1 Crescent student. So again, I can't answer, I wasn't there at the time. However, just looking at the data, and I was like, this does not make sense. So we've kind of restructured some of our positions, and very excited to share that we jumped up to 558 students last year who had some work-based learning experience, and 81 of them were Crescent students. So they were indicators, you know what I mean, in Power School for college career readiness. And then AIT, the 120-hour internships. This was something that that they really focused on for students to come back for that 5th course, not necessarily 40-hour internships. So what is interesting about these numbers is that the years 22, 23, again, this is students coming back after they complete, coming into an internship. So only 14 students came back in 22, 23, 15 came back in 23, 24, and again, these are the A3 numbers that are in the crescent yellow. However, those years, 4 out of both of those years were internal internships. So didn't really understand what that is, but however, that was students who wanted internships, but either they couldn't find placement. I don't know what the whole details was, but they were doing their internships at AIT. That's kind of defeating the purpose in my eyes. So we no longer obviously permit that, and we currently have 26 students coming back for this current year, and 7 of those are Crescent students. Our biggest area that students are doing our internships in is vet science, animal science. So we're always, so if you know anybody in that business, your wife's already taking care of us, so we are constantly looking for placement for our students, and we can finally say that we have them all placed for this year. So these are some of our current internship sites. Again, Dodge Industrial, the library, Sergeant Metal, and you know, obviously y'all can read the different things, but Southern Pooch Grooming, Richard K, and actually, one thing we were focusing on, and it'll be on the other slide, is really trying to incorporate more of the internships within that 40-hour and the 4th course. Because, you know, as we know, students, as you know, you probably all have employees where, you know, they're learning something in the classroom. For them to go right to the classroom to an 120-hour internship and nothing in between, that's kind of hard because they don't know. You can't you got to put your cell phones up. You got to be on time. You've got to have good attendance. So we're really trying to push that 40-hour internship. Our firefighting and our students, our CNA students already have that embedded and do a great job with that. Currently, we have 2 students from automotive who are actually doing a 40-hour internship within their 4th course. And we just found out that both of them are going to be offered employment upon finishing. So we're excited about that. So that is an area we continue to work on and grow. So again, we really, our big thing is really about supporting the community. These are just some of the just different events that have gone on this year. Again, we have the salon days, our cosmetology, you know, opens up to the community for certain, you know, they can get manicures, pedicures, and that's why I have the email address up there. Please share that. We have that all over social media. We'd love to have people come in. The middle picture is our firefighting class partnered with our ag science class because they were supposed to do an event but the hurricane kind of stopped that, so we had to kind of rearrange some things. But this was a community event, free trunk and treat. All of the candy was donated by local fire stations, and we had an incredible turnout for that. That was back in October. We also did a canned food drive right before Thanksgiving for one of the local charities, and we're currently doing Paws for a Cause, so we're collecting donations for to give to Paws, to give for animals. So again, there's a lot of community service, which is something that we really, really embrace and really want to continue. Sorry, my bad. Okay, this is one thing that I'm super, super excited to share. So we were approached, so one of this is a student who attends one of our feeder high schools, and they were having a difficult time. They're wheelchair bound, but they didn't have an appropriate ramp to go from the home for the bus to pick them up. So we were approached, and our welding class stepped in, and as you can see from what they started with, and this bottom picture here is they were at Lowe's at 6:30 in the morning, so before school, collecting all the materials, and in a day, they went from that left-hand side to that right-hand side. They finished that project for that student. I couldn't be more proud of these students, and so again, this child has, they were going to start with metal. That's why welding was involved, but obviously, the wood worked out better. But super proud of the students. Again, they spent a lot of their own time going over outside of school hours, just even consulting with what the need was, and just really excited. So that was part of one of their projects. So again, some updates for 425s for the current year. So every 2 years, we have to submit the 2020, we submitted the comprehensive local needs assessment, worked very closely with Dr. Nixon on that, and also the other areas, Oconee, Pickens, and Anderson, we all worked together on that. We were able to hire a special education transition teacher this year, which again, thank you for your support, Burton, and obviously superintendents. This position has really already grown tremendously. We have students coming from Crescent and then also from Westside High School. Pendleton will start in January, and these are students who are non-diploma, who more likely would not be college and career ready, so for accountability for the high schools. So we had started an internship at our building. They don't attend school with us. However, we have become a working site for students as long as it's aligned with their IGPs, which it is, and they come over and do all sorts of customer service. So from running the coffee shop to delivering to money to all sorts of things. And I can tell you that our Crescent kids, they're just amazing, amazing, amazing. Please come on. They come on Tuesdays, and we had a holiday fair on Saturday, and actually one of our Crescent students came, Mr. Logan, and just spent the whole entire day with us and just helped out. He was just amazing. But again, the employability skills, but also we want to support our high schools. That's what we're about. We're about working together to support our students. But also we have more students with IEPs and 504s than we ever have. So Ms. Stoller, who is our transition teacher, she does a little push-in. Like for example, today we're in the middle of end-of-course testing for our programs. She was able to provide accommodations. So again, having that support, but also supporting our instructors in regard to students with special needs and how to do accommodations in the classroom. So that's really going well. We have a new bell schedule this year, appreciates the flexibility of our high schools. Last year, our schedule was we had all of our schools coming and going at different times, and we really looked at the data on that, and there was a lot of lost instructional time. So we were able to build in the day where we all got on the same semi-schedule within 5 minutes, which is great. But it also allows our instructors to have some planning during the day for collaboration, communication, grading, all sorts of things. Provided availability for acceleration activities, for remediation, and it also has helped with saving some funding so we don't have to pay for an extra planning period. And we've had a lot of positive feedback from that. So again, these are our Crescent High students. Very, very excited. What's great about, everything, so many things are great about what they're doing, but as you can see, these are current Health Science 2 students and also our Fire 2 students who worked closely with our Crescent students regarding sanitizing, correct hand washing techniques, fire extinguishing, and first aid. So it's the kids really working with the kids, and like I said, it just warms my heart. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays when we have the students there, it's just fabulous. I just love it, love it, love it. And so please, yes, come visit anytime. But as you can see, just the kids working all together. It's just fantastic. So some priorities for this school year, obviously increase enrollment. Again, deep diving into the course requests versus what is actually scheduled. The deep dive into prerequisites is something we have done already. This will be reflected in our next catalog. So what we have found in discussion is that our prerequisites really did not match some of our courses, and it really eliminated some students that really could benefit from some of our coursework, but wouldn't meet the basic prerequisites. So we met with each individual program, had a great discussion in regard to, okay, is Algebra 1 absolutely necessary for this pathway? Is, what kind of math, what grade? So there's some definite wording that is changed in our new course catalog that will, again, open up more opportunities for more students. Recruitment is another big thing, working with our middle schools. Anytime there is any type of event, we'd love to be there. We're going to be at the AOP Showcase. Again, more work-based learning opportunities. Again, the 40-hour internships. The master schedule with IGPs, we have committed to putting that out a little earlier. We said November. However, even right now, we need to have some data to even kind of go that direction. But in years past, it was put out in late May. We had it out in early March, and I think we'll continue to do that. That won't be a problem by the first week of March, getting that to our home-based schools. Again, really pushing for our industry-recognized certifications. Last year, we had over 1,000 certifications earned by our students. Ninth grade tours, again, and I know all of the schools were a little nervous when I said, well, we're just going to open the campus up for the tours and, have supervision everywhere and let the kids just go where they want to go, in whatever classes they want to go in. And I know administration from Crescent, and we had Pendleton already, were like, what do you mean you're just going to let them go? Let them go where they want. Where are they going to go? As long as we have supervision. They absolutely loved it. I actually sat in on a meeting. It just was a happenstance right after one of the tours with a parent. And she's like, yeah, my kid loved the tour. He was able to go to whatever class he wanted, and he just spent the whole hour there. Okay. And that's what he wants to sign up for. So again, we also have implemented monthly tours and information sessions this year. So once a month, we open our building for tours. It's very informal, drop in. We tour the building. We've had the Anderson Board of Education board come visit last time. And we have, especially we've had quite a few of our Crescent students or even our ninth graders after they toured, they brought their parents back, which is really exciting. Again, it's just, we just want people to know all the great things that are going on at AIT and just come visit us. Machine Tool was a program that we had, that's CNC machining, and unfortunately we had our instructor resign unexpectedly during the holidays last year, and that is a very difficult position to fill. So speaking with the superintendents, we're like, well, what do we do? But we have this incredible lab, and partnering with our industry, what the need is, we need CNC workers in all of our industry. If you go to talk to Dodge, you call, Michelin, you go to anybody, even the smaller firms, we need machinists. So we're just like, well, we may need to look at this and rebrand what we're doing. So exciting to say that we are starting Siemens Engineering, which is a compilation of CNC machining, a little bit of mechatronics, a little bit of electricity, engineering, a little bit of welding, and it ties it all together. So students who would be in the engineering could really experience all those different areas. And we have a great partnership with Dodge, and now I actually met with Haas last week or the week before Thanksgiving. They're both one to come, and when we do our upcoming tours, they've offered to come to the schools. They're going to actually have the machines going. So it's something that I think if students could see actually what they'd be doing and think of not manufacturing where we think of an old textile mill, that it's this dirty and place and it's hot and things like that. If you go to any of these plants, you could eat off the floor. They're just so clean. So again, we want to rebrand it. We want to get kids more involved and more educated about what this could look like. And again, we're going to offer some additional engineering courses next year. We were able to takes our current teacher list, and again, so no FTE increases, so I'm not asking for any more money, but we're also really training people in different areas so they can, do various different programs. And just even with this today, we had 7 mechatronics students take the TAP exam for the dual credit with Tri-County today. So again, lots of great things going on. Dodge Industrial has been an amazing partner, so I do want to give a shout out to them. If you have never seen our CNC lab, it had been sitting for almost a year, and I don't know anything about machinery. But I went to Dodge and I was like, y'all, can you help me here? Because common sense would tell you if these machines are sitting, that's not a good thing. So Dodge sent over a team several weeks ago. They spent 2 full days, 8-hour days, and this is the team they sent over. They literally cleaned every machine, took some machines back with them to Dodge, replaced everything, and I bought them lunch. Didn't know what else to do for them. I mean, what do you do? They have just been an incredible partner. So, for example, again, I don't know anything about, again, the machines. So if we have a candidate, it's so nice to be able to work with our industry partners and be like, okay, well, I can obviously assess the pedagogy and the teaching aspect of it, but I can't tell if they're going to be a good CNC machine teacher. I don't know. So they've been really, really instrumental in just really helping us and guiding us and, working with them. And we know that they want to continue and getting us more equipment. Again, they kind of hooked us back up with Haas, and so it's just a great partnership that and they're going to actually be named our partner of 2024 tomorrow at our advisory meeting. So again, this is just a flyer, just telling you about our information sessions that we will hold. Those are the ones we've held so far, and we will have an open house in January. That's when all the instructors will be there. We would love to have anybody and everybody come out. And then February, March, and April, those are the dates that we do the informal tours. That is just admin only. I don't ask the teachers to stay unless they want to, but this is out on social media. This is shared everywhere, and really we just want people to come out and see all the great things going on. So this picture, it's a lot of different pictures. You may recognize some people in these pictures. The reason why I include this slide is that this was a collaboration in-service that we did. And just to note that it's not just instructors, it's not just admin, it is everybody in our building, because we all have that one goal, and that's to have the best opportunity for our kids. So when we do things of collaboration, communication, things like that, it's all of us on board. So this was just an exercise that we had did right before the school year started. And again, we can have fun and have a good time, but again, when it comes down to it, it's just all about our kids. So we have capstone project presentations tomorrow. If you are in the area, we'd love to stop in. Again, our open house is in January, and that's my contact information. So is there any questions, anything that I can answer? Again, I could talk about AIT all night, so we can talk about it.
Anybody got any questions?
Questions?
Very
comments?
interesting. Thank you. I learned something myself. I'm very excited about the firefighting because I was worried about it about a year ago.
Yes.
And
Oh,
if I
Lord.
could just commend Dr. Esty, she's done a phenomenal job. She's gone above and beyond what the superintendents asked her when we brought her in, but definitely the data piece was something we get answers very, very quickly. And so I thank you for the data, but also the partnerships you've formed and increasing the enrollment. You're doing a phenomenal job. And so
Team effort, we all, you get the right team in place, and we do. We had 100% of our employees that were offered contracts last year come back. Only new employees were positions that we gained. We have sent out intent forms, and I have nobody indicating that they're going anywhere as long as they're offered employment, so which is a good thing, because that it helps with stability and continuity for growing our programs. So thank you. So,
and the other piece that was huge for all of us is the schedule change, because we were paying for planning periods for people.
almost $100,000 a year.
And so that's getting that straight, and plus the instructional time that was lost
Right.
because of the staggered, so.
So from 8 to 8:30 and 3 to 4 o'clock, our instructors have unencumbered planning. So us admin, we watch the students. We keep them all in a general area, kind of in the open area, and we watch them, and then we don't release them to class. But the expectation for our instructors is that from 8:30 to 8:45, everyone is outside their classroom greeting students, because that is the best way to assess and really pinpoint if something's amiss or something's going on. We also change, safety is our number one priority. Students can only enter through, the car riders and car drivers can only enter through the front doors. So either myself or one of our assistant directors is always up there. And then the buses come in through the side, so there's one less entrance. Again, we just want to keep our eyes on students and be there and just assess, try to be proactive rather than reactive. But it's been a phenomenal year. And like I said, I was in actually every class today. I was, talking to kids and checking on teachers, and I cannot believe that we're 2 weeks away from, we're going to have pretty much a whole new group of kids, and I'm going to miss these, you know, it's just a great place. So I just encourage you to come out and come visit anytime you want. Anything else?
Thank you very
Good,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll let Mr. Powell have the podium. Yes, sir. We are ready.
Thank you all for having us. What did you say it was, Dylan, up or down? That way? Okay. So we are here to kind of give you an idea of some things we have going on at IVA. I'm going to speak on our report card and some ranking stuff that we had from this year and compared to last year. I wanted to start off with our mission. We haven't tweaked that with our staff since last year, but again, the vision of IVA Elementary is to provide an academic foundation that will foster a love for learning in a safe, positive, and respectful environment. We will achieve this through rigorous, standards-based instruction and differentiation while creating critical thinkers and productive members of society. So to kick this off, wanted to start off with a staff spotlight, just touch on our Teacher of the Year and Support Staff of the Year. So starting with our Teacher of the Year, Miss Emily Rodriguez, wanted to speak about her and just, you know, great representation for our school this year. Amazing Teacher of the Year. Funny story there is we had a little bit of some movement over the summer, and she unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately was able to jump in for us and fill a third grade position, jumping from first grade. She was told, as you may ask her, not asked, but she she has been doing a phenomenal job. So again, could not ask for a better representative for us for our Teacher of the Year. And then our Support Staff of the Year, if you don't know Mr. Russell, he is in his second year with us, and he has done a phenomenal job. He is constantly either in the hallway first thing in the morning or outside with us in the morning in the cold and the rain, whatever it may be, walking students in. He's made great relationships with students and brand new occupation for him, but could not, again, ask for a better representative for our support staff of the year in Mr. Russell. So wanted to highlight those two employees of ours. So currently we are ranked 131st out of 638. We did drop 30 spots. We were ranked 101st last year. We'll get into a little bit more of that in just a second. I did want to throw out, though, you know, last year we were recognized by U.S. News as one of the best elementary schools because of our school ranking. And then this year we did receive the Palmetto Silver. If you don't know, that will kind of fall into three categories. So average for academic achievement, and then excellent in student progress. Either or another option would be good in academic achievement or good with student progress. We were excellent with academic achievement and then average with student progress, which gained us the silver or Palmetto Silver Award. And then I did want to add in that blurb there, again, second highest ranking for the school, performing better than 79.5% of elementary schools in South Carolina. We definitely want to brag on fourth grade ELA from this past year with 74.6% of students meeting or exceeding expectations. So props to those fourth grade teachers and students for that achievement.
And Mr. Powell, I'll interrupt you just a second to make a point. That 74.6, we're knocking on the door of that 75% meets and exceeds club that Superintendent Weaver recognizes. So, so close, and we're going to get there.
Yes. So just going along with that, some historical data there for you with the school ranking. So one thing to point out is since 2018, other than if you look at 2021, but since 2018, been in the 75th percentile or higher since that point. Last year, obviously, was the highest at 84.3%. If you look at it, though, and you look at our academic achievement, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, but you're really splitting hairs when you get into the nitty-gritty of that 75% or higher. There were lots of schools ahead of us last year that are now behind us, and then there were a lot of schools that are behind us that are ahead of us. So again, it's a very, very close contest when you start knocking on the door of the top 100. Unfortunately, I have found that to be very difficult for us. I feel like we are so close. We were very close last year. But again, it is one of those things, when you get into that, you dip into the 75th percentile or higher, it does become much more difficult. So I'll get into some more things there, things we are tweaking to try to make our way back closer to the top 100. But again, lots of success there. If you see that, I mean, you know, starting 2016, 2017, you know, barely knocking, you know, 50th percentile. But, you know, as the years have gone and progressed, we've stayed as close to or above that 75th percentile mark. So wanted to start with what I feel like, in my opinion, is what we do best, and that is making sure our staff, community members, and students know what's going on and are always involved in things that are going on at our school. You know, one of the first things I wanted to do was to make sure that people outside the building, community members wanted to be inside the building, teachers wanted to come to school every day, and students wanted to be at school every day. And so, as you can see here, we've listed several of our school strengths, and that, with that being some of our engagement pieces. So wanted to start off with One Book, One School. Before I get to that, all of these are things that we are currently doing or have done. At the bottom there, if you see still to come, we've got Jingle Jam and Stream Night, a couple other community options and student activities that we'll have in the future. But starting with One Book, One School, this year we did Charlotte's Web. We started with, well, let me back up. Normally we do One Book, One School at the end of the school year. This year we wanted to kick it off and tie it in with Literacy Night. So we started One Book, One School with Charlotte's Web early in the school year, and then finished about midway through October. And we were able to have a county fair themed Charlotte's Web Literacy Night in October. And so we invited all, you know, parents, students, everybody to come out. We had pet and zoo, we had popcorn, we had corn dogs, cotton candy. We had all kinds of activities for the kids. We had read-alouds. So super fun night. But again, that ties back into our One Book, One School. If you don't know what that is, we put the same book in the hands of every student from K4 all the way up to 5th grade. We all read it. We have a question that goes out each night. Students will read that chapter for that question. They'll bring their answer in. They can get a reward if their name is chosen. So we do, you know, all again, One Book, One School, but we're all together reading that same thing. My daughter this year, she absolutely adores those nights. We love to be able to sit down and read. My wife and I actually argue over who gets to read sometimes, just because it does put excitement for reading back in those students' lives. A couple of other things we have going on. Honors Chorus, again, we've started that for the second year with 4th and 5th grade. We've got 40 plus students in that Honors Chorus. They'll actually be doing a Christmas musical at the Jingle Jam in a couple weeks, or next week actually. Unified Buddies is something we started kind of working towards last year. Miss Driver, one of our 5th grade teachers, she has kind of worked with student government, but she kind of shifted gears a little bit and has partnered with our LEAP program students, with Miss Ariana Richardson, one of our special education teachers. And so they actually joined together with those students, and they'll do different projects together. Those 5th grade students actually escorted them to Champions Day, which was A3 Special Olympics a little while back. So super proud of them for doing that. I've already spoken on Literacy Night. School Safety Day, I'll have some pictures of that in a second, but that is when we have emergency personnel from Iowa and Anderson County to visit with students, talk about their occupations and how they keep us safe. We're continuing to do Good News Club, which is sponsored by Union Baptist, on Tuesday afternoon. The Beta Club, second year of that, and we were able to add 33 new members this year, 4th and 5th graders. And that was one thing I wanted to mention at the actual Beta Club induction was, you know, it's great for those 4th graders. The first year they had a chance to do that, but I was really proud to see 5th graders getting added. After missing out in 4th grade, it was great to see them put forth a little more effort and then earn their way into Beta Club, you know, after that first year of 4th grade, you know, when they moved to 5th grade. So super proud of them for doing that. And then continuing on with robotics, we do have the Vex IQ robots that Miss Stone works with our 5th graders with. We are in our second season of archery, and we were able to expand that to start including 6th graders at Sims, thanks to Mr. Coates. We like to recognize veterans at our school through Carrie Caldwell. She's kind of the leader over our community outreach team. And so we started that last year, so we brought in some veterans. I'll have some pictures of that, but we like to do a parade. They come and speak with students in classes. And then I brag on this at pretty much everything I do, but especially at like Title I meetings. But if you are ever free on National STEM Day, come to Iva Elementary School. Ms. Stone goes over and beyond for our students. It is an absolutely insane day. There's no other way to describe it but the word insanity. It is organized chaos. Sometimes it's maybe not quite as organized, but it is super awesome. We have so many different groups and community members and organizations that come in and put on demonstrations for the kids, all relating back to STEM. And it is an incredible day. So wanted to make sure and highlight that. And then again, to come Jingle Jam, we will have Santa there next week if you're free on Thursday. And then Stream Night's always in the spring. And we'll have more info about that as the year goes on. Couple of pictures from Literacy Night, again from the Fall Festival, the little county fair we had there. Lots of different activities and things going on for Charlotte's Web. And then a few pictures from Safety Day with the helicopter there and the firefighters and things like that. So the kids absolutely love getting to do that. Yep. You might recognize a familiar face there in one of those pictures.
What were you telling me? This was the 17th year? Is that what you told me?
Since 2007, I've been doing it.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
2000.
That's awesome. The kids absolutely adore it. And then Veterans Day, a few pictures from that. Wanted to hone in on that picture on the left there. That was actually a quilt that Ms. Whitfield, our art teacher, had students kind of put together their version of the red, white, and blue / American flag theme. And so they kind of made a quilt there for the veterans to look at. And then in that middle picture, the students would parade down with each branch of the military. And then first thing in the morning, it's really cool. Our fifth graders will greet those veterans and sit and talk with them and have breakfast. And then it's always great, if you look in the bottom right, Chaz Hayes and his son Ben, always great when we have parents that are veterans that are able to come and their students are able to eat breakfast with them too when we recognize them. So we love that event. All right, so getting into our report card ratings, I wanted to start with this, kind of give you a comparison of last year. As you look at this slide, you'll kind of notice there in the middle, obviously with the multilingual learners category, we aren't rated. We don't have a high enough percentage of students that are multilingual learners, so that one has never been a factor for us. This past year, if you'll look at preparing for success, it was not rated. Those are the science scores because the new standards were implemented this year. That test did not count towards the school report card rating. Again, though, that's 2 years in a row for excellent in academic achievement. Again, that's 4 years in a row for excellence in school climate. And then student progress, we are making our way back to where we want to be. I'll zoom in a little bit on that in just a few minutes, but moving up to average there in student progress. I want to make note of the points there, though, jumping from 48 to 57, +9 in that category, going from average to good. Obviously, 61 is the goal, to be excellent. That is always the goal every single year, but I am extremely proud to be back in the high 50s. Again, it's very difficult to get to that point. We know our goal is still in front of us to get to excellent, but again, very, very proud of our students and teachers for making that gain this year after dropping down to average last year, getting back to a good category. We'll say if we probably could have included science, I have a feeling we would have been excellent, but can't worry about that right now. But I have all the faith in Ms. Thomas for making sure our students are learning what they're supposed to do, or learning what they're supposed to in science. So again, if we would have had those points, but nothing we can do about that. So moving along, so just wanted to pinpoint two things off of that. First, again, excellent in academic achievement. If you notice there, as a school for ELA, we were at 72% meets or exceeds, which was higher than the district average and higher than the state average. And again, in math, we were at 60.7 meets or exceeds as a school, just a little bit higher than the district average and then higher than the state average as well. To give you an idea, excellent this year, with 22.4 points earned. Last year, we were at 22.34 points earned, so not a lot of difference there. Still excellent in that category, just a little bit higher this year. Last year, we were at 74.5% overall in ELA, so we did have a drop of 2.5% there. But we were a little bit higher this year. We were right at 59% overall in math last year for meets and exceeds, and then this year moving up a little bit over 60%. So saw some gains there, but again, helped us maintain that excellent category for academic achievement. Also excellent for school climate. We were at 8.61 points earned last year, so at 8.57. Again, splitting hairs, not too much different. I do want to kind of speak on that. You know, we try to do a lot of things to keep the school climate as positive as it can be for both students and teachers. We do a lot of different incentives for teachers. We try to do as many different incentives for students as we can to keep that school climate, again, as positive as we possibly can be. If you ask any of the teachers that were at school today, we did have a little bit of a reindeer game where we hid five, well, not hid, we passed around 5 reindeer. I don't know if y'all seen that on TikTok or anything, but we gave out 5 reindeer to start the day, and if a teacher had a reindeer and you asked them if they had one, they had to give it to you. You couldn't take it back immediately, and if you had a reindeer at the end of the day, you got a prize. So stuff like that, again, you know, trying to keep the school climate as positive as it can be, so we try to have as many incentives as possible. So, all right, so getting into growth here, what we've got to work on. So obviously student progress is something that we have been focusing on for the past couple of years. I do want to make note of this because this is where I believe we gained those points from last year. Last year for student growth, we only earned 5.1 points, which is not much at all out of those 35. This year, we did jump up to 15.4 points earned, which got us in the average category there for student progress. These are the two percentages, though, that I think hopefully you'll be able to see that we are moving in the right direction. So as you see there in that top graph, you've got our school there at 44% as a total of students showing growth. Last year, that was at 14.6%. So definitely moving in the right direction there. This year, at the lowest performing 20% of students, 48%, so almost half of those students showing growth. Last year, that was only 15.9%. So we do know we are now moving back in the right direction in a big way. Obviously, we know we still have a lot of movement, a lot of room to grow in that area, but just wanted to pinpoint those numbers and make sure everyone sees that we are working towards, you know, getting back to where we need to be in student progress. I'm going to get to a couple things now where you can kind of get some specifics on what we are doing and things we are tweaking to get back to where we need to be for student progress. So starting with instruction, one thing we are working towards in math, we reached out, I was studying the school rankings, and I had Miss West actually reach out to a friend of hers at a school in Greenwood that was ranked behind us last year and then shot into the top 50 this year. One thing in math, we were neck and neck with them last year in math and ELA. This year we were neck and neck with them in ELA, and they blew everyone out of the water in math in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So we wanted to know what they were doing, and we want to try to copycat that. So they focus on fact fluency from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. So that's one thing we are going to start working on. I do want to say that we are currently doing that in 3rd grade. Ms. Ware, she is here, but if you've seen those signs out, she focuses on multiplication fact fluency. The past 2 years, she has given out those multiplication master awards. My own child has seen successes with those fact fluency, with that focus in multiplication in 3rd grade. Definitely helps our 4th graders with that. So we have actually formed a team with one representative from kindergarten up to 5th grade, where we want to start focusing on that in every grade level and things that are pertaining specific to those grade level standards. But that is something we're going to start focusing on to see if we can improve in that area and help those students be able to master facts a lot quicker, whether it is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, anything like that. We are willing to tweak and change to help improve that fact fluency. Ms. West, you want to speak on the sight word fluency real quick and reading fluency?
Yeah, so in reading the past couple years, our teachers have done an excellent job of digging into Reading Horizons, which is the phonics program. And going into letters last year, it was such a smooth transition because we already had so much in place that we were learning through letters. What we're kind of seeing in the data, like we've been digging into our MAP reading fluency data as it's been coming in this week, and what we're seeing is our teachers are doing a phenomenal job with the phonics program. Our students can decode. Our percentages are moving way up in the phonics and phonemic awareness, so we know that piece is working. What we want to dig into more going into the next semester, especially in K through third grade, is building that reading fluency. So we know they can decode, they know their phonics rules, but we want to be more intentional about giving them a lot of time to put it into practice throughout the day. So Ms. Brewster and myself and the teachers have already kind of started formulating a plan of how we can do that, especially using the new curriculum we have. The HMH curriculum we adopted this year has a ton of really good resources that we are going to be able to use. The Start Right readers in Rigby Library, which are leveled text, are going to help us do that. And that kind of goes into the whole intervention block. So just as we did last year, we have 30 minutes for every grade level to have intervention every day. We call it our win time, so what I need. And that time looks a little different ranging from the grade level, but we try to really work with teachers, dig into the MAP data, the MAP fluency data, grades, attendance, all of those factors. Ms. Richardson sits in on our MTSS meetings, looking at the mental health and behavioral aspects of it, and really trying to be intentional about how we're spending that 30 minutes and using the tools we've learned through letters and everything to kind of pinpoint with reading where our weaknesses are. And then with math, what we've found to kind of be working, and you can jump in on this, is lessening the amount of students that the math teachers have during this time so that they can work with the students that we see are struggling in math, because they are the experts. So trying to kind of create enrichment groups for the students who are doing well so that the math teachers can really focus in on our students who are struggling.
And again, speaking on the enrichment piece, so what we've been doing there is for ELA, we have created some book study groups. And so you see there in one of those pictures, that's Ms. Brewster with a group of our third graders reading The Wild Robot. And then focusing in on our GT students, Ms. Stone, our STEM teacher, has been partnering with Ms. Thomas with her group, fourth graders, and then Ms. Elrod and a group of fifth graders, those GT students, and they have been doing collaboration with all things STEM, ELA, math. A few weeks ago, I was covering the enrichment group for The Wild Robot, and I hear a xylophone getting played out in the hallway. And I'm like, what are we doing? And it was something for Miss Stone. They were reviewing pitches or something, and so kids are out there banging on the keys out there, and so I'm saying, hey, got a little music in the hallway, that's okay. But so they're combining all different things with those GT students. And then if you look, that one picture right there at the bottom left, that is a shoebox that was representing a trunk or treat. Ms. Ferguson has been doing a lot of project-based learning things with her fifth grade students each morning for intervention. And so that was their project for October, was they had to plan a trunk or treat for the entire school. And then after they got it planned, knew how much money they'd have to spend on candy and things like that, then they got to decorate and create their own trunk. They've been doing lots of different things like that are kind of based on what's going on. So right now they're doing a trip to the North Pole for Polar Express. So just different things like that for project-based learning. And then lastly, another opportunity for growth, and I'll let Ms. West kind of jump in here, but going along with letters, now that we are in year 2 of that, we've noticed, and which we always kind of knew why it was, that it was important, but now we're seeing how much more important it is, which is vocabulary. So one thing last year, I think it was we were sitting in that first PD, wasn't it? I think the first PD last year, or to start this school year, Miss West looked over at me and said, we should change up our quote of the day. Every morning I do a quote of the day on the announcements, and she said, we should change that up and do like a vocabulary word of the day. So we ran with it. And the students have loved it. So what we do each morning is I'll give them a new word. I'll give them the definition. I'll give them a sentence that is used in. And then if you see down in the bottom, the middle there, motionless, irregular, and then in the top right, we've got another area. Students get to go. They'll put that word in their own sentence, and they'll get to stick it out in the hallway. So if you're ever in the school and you see lots of note paper out in the hallways, I know it's not super decorative, but that is student work getting displayed every single morning. Every student gets to make their own sentence with that word of the day. So really focusing on vocabulary, and then vocabulary across the curriculum. As you see there, we've got a math word wall where vocabulary is being used, and then also science words up there in the middle. You want to speak any more on that? Or?
I think you pretty much
Yep.
covered it, just,
Okay.
yep.
Yep. But again, that is something we started this year, and we really have enjoyed it. I think the bottom right picture, the reason we put that on there, what we try to do each week is Miss Brewster will go around and select some students' work, and I'll read it on Fridays, and then they'll get to come up for a prize. But again, I know a lot of people have seen that, and we are sweeping sticky notes up off the floor every single day that fall off the poster charts, but that's okay. We are absolutely loving it. So.
Yeah, and like letters this year, I feel like has been really great for all teachers in all grade levels across the curriculum, because we know vocabulary is huge for reading comprehension or comprehension in math, understanding a problem. So I feel like this is something everybody's been able to really take the strategies we're learning and implement them.
Just finishing with just a few slides here with some pictures to kind of give you a glimpse into our year. So you've got the Beta Club induction there. That top picture in the middle is one of when Miss Boggs does her letter parade. And so everybody has their letter, the first letter of their either first name for the teachers and staff members is the first letter of our last name. Down bottom middle there, that is when Miss Williamson brought some of her baby pigs while we were doing One Book, One School for Charlotte's Web. And then those two on the right, that top right is when we had our Red Ribbon Week, and it was students dressed like teachers, teachers dressed like students. And then the bottom right there was from STEM Day. The students created different things to put on their robots, and then those robots did a little track on the floor. Just a few more pictures there from One Book, One School Literacy Night, some things we've done. Popsicles with the principal, where we had Kona Ice, and then another picture from students dressed like teacher, teachers dressed like student, and then Beta Club induction. And then last slide there again, you've got Ryder Stone there dressed as Alex Smith from the high school. And then pictures from Donuts with Dad. That top right picture, I did want to make note of that. That was the week we were without power in lots of areas. And so Joy Combs was able to do a block party for the students at school that day when we opened up for lunch. And I know the students really enjoyed that, so shout out to them for being there for that. And then another picture there from grandparents' lunch, and then Beta Club induction. Y'all have any questions for us about anything?
Great job of evaluating and recognizing, where your opportunities may be, and then developing the plan of action, right? That's really, really exciting to see.
Thank you.
Great job.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question. If I
Yes,
may.
sir. Go ahead.
Comment also, holy cow, it's like, makes my head spin. You guys are unbelievable.
Thank you.
So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Appreciate it.
What is the date for the STEM Day?
Oh, do we have that? I think it's April. Actually, I do have it. Hold on one second. It will be, the National STEM Day or the Stream Night? The one where I told everybody to be there?
Yes.
That's normally November 8th, or November 7th or 8th, depends on the calendar year, but we normally post that, so you'll kind of know, but, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just one question, phenomenal job, coming 14-15% up to where y'all came, and that doesn't happen without hard work, so great work there. Noticed in math, 4th grade, it seemed to lag behind. Is that typical in years prior, or is that just something that?
Well, that has been, we've always kind of noticed, we've had a weakness in 1 or 2 grade levels, sometimes it's just 1 grade level. We did have, teacher in that grade level this year. It was his first year there. We feel like it was one of those where we were a little bit slower paced. So this year we are picking up the pace a little bit more in that classroom. We are also focusing in a little bit more on what the order in which he should be teaching things. We've hit a lot, and I think it was kind of the case last year, a lot on numbers and operations, but maybe not putting as much focus on some other areas, and kind of using some supplemental resources for those, such as fractions and things like that. So we are going to make sure we make that shift this year, as well. So, yeah, we are aware of that. That was obviously one of our most, obvious weaknesses, this past year was in fourth grade math, so,
Do y'all have everything that you need from the school board
yes,
as far as instructional? Okay.
yes.
Do y'all teach cursive writing in elementary school anymore?
So normally we try to do that towards the end of the school year in a couple grade levels.
Yeah, it's back in the
Yeah.
standards.
I had a manager when I worked for Frito-Lay couldn't sign
Yeah.
the invoice.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
it's back in the
Yeah.
standards in several grade
Yeah,
levels, so.
yeah. We have, what's the name of those books that we give towards the end of the school year? Say it again. You go ahead, Ms. Ware, you know, what are they called?
The ZB, that's what I.
Yeah. So we do have like a little book where they can practice tracing those letters to start with and then get into drawing, writing words, forming them on their own.
I knew after Christmas when I was in second grade when we started learning.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, I think third is the
They
main.
ain't got no
Yeah,
doubt.
third grade normally.
Focus is on
Yeah.
after testing.
That's about 50-something years ago.
Let's go down, Larry.
I remember when Harper learned how to write her name in cursive, I now have Harper on fence posts outside, on the wall of the barn outside in cursive, yeah.
That's
So when my
good.
oldest daughter- Yeah, she's practicing signing her name, so there is that, yeah.
Great
We
job.
appreciate all the work
Thank you.
y'all do.
Appreciate it,
Doesn't notice.
yes.
Thank you.
Very
And I just like, great job. Lots of hard work. You're doing phenomenal things. Ms. Ware, I love the yard signs of when you learn your multiplication tables. That is a great touch.
Y'all ever
It's
want to
so
try to come take the
important.
test? Come in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and see if you can get 100 questions. Yeah, you can get 100 questions knocked out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, great job.
Do y'all still, in multiplication, have a, where a kid gets to step up a chair, still play with the match card, flashcards? Back in the day.
Yeah.
Before you school down, Larry.
School now.
Fact fluency.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Y'all again.
Thank y'all.
All right, this time, Mr. Moore, with our financial report.
All right. I'm trying to swing this around a little bit. All right. So, taking a look at our general fund through the end of the month of November, our expenditures exceeded our revenues by $1,645,368. We still have a little bit of a lag that we've seen throughout this point in the year, but we are starting to slowly catch up, and a lot of that being those timing differences. So for a point of reference, I want to point here, really looking at that yellow column there, you can see we're about $400,000 behind where we were last year. As you know, the past several months, we've been about $500,000 behind. So I think we're slowly starting to catch up, and I think we'll hopefully see in the next couple of months when these property taxes start rolling in, us catching up back with prior years. And then, so really, we're pretty much, we're getting closer in line. You see the first 3 years there, that 1.8, 2 million, 1.8 again. So we did have a timing difference where this year we collected our Tier 1 property tax relief money. So that's about a $500,000 swing, where in those 3 years we had not collected in November. So that timing difference, if you want to make it apples to apples, would put us around $2.1 million to the negative had we not received that, which puts us about $300,000 behind those. So we're making up some ground as we make it out throughout the year, because of those one-time expenses we had in the general fund this year that we haven't had in the past due to the ESSER funding. I mentioned property taxes; they're slowly starting to come in. We're about $100,000 ahead of where we were this point last year. Still a long ways to go, as you see. A little less than 13% of our budgeted property taxes have come in so far, but really we'll start to see a major uptick here in December and January collections. So So we'll see a lot more money fill up these charts here. I do want to pass along, it's very early, but we got the assessment reports from the county of the opening of the books for them this year, and they do look very encouraging for us. There are some things I'm having to get with Department of Revenue about, some questions I have, so I don't have a firm number on that, but I do expect to see some growth in our value of a meal, both operationally and on the debt service side. So I think we'll see if that holds, that we should feel good about the budgets we've set here on for the current year, and also to be able to use as we look towards the next year's budget. So as soon as we get that firmed up, I'll kind of brief you on that, where that looks like it's going to settle in at. But again, this is always the highest. It'll gradually come down as taxpayers start filing appeals and things like that. Some people who might be in their 6% get moved to primary residences will fall off operational side. So it'll look different come spring, but I do feel encouraged where it's looking at from an opening standpoint, and what we've traditionally seen from the opening of the books to where things settle out. So feel encouraged about that as we move forward. I've mentioned to you the state aid to classrooms with our enrollment. We still have not gotten a firm number from the state on what our increase will be, but I do feel very encouraged where we at. I mentioned our increase of about 86 students from the 135th day last year to the 45th day this year. That did hold for us. So our weighted pupil units showed an increase of 3.37. And really the measure for this formula is, as long as you're increasing more than the state is increasing, you should be in line to receive additional funding. So now that the 45-day has gotten finalized, the reports on the state website give me an increase, a growth percentage for their statewide weighted pupil units of 0.18%. So from a percentage comparison standpoint, we significantly outpaced that, so which holds to what my belief is, that we should be in line for a big bump in the January payment update. What exactly that bump, the amount of that bump, don't know just yet, but hope to have that number for you at the next board meeting, and then the updated payments will take effect in late January. So anticipate that being a six-figure increase for us from what we're currently receiving. So encouraged about that, and where the statewide numbers came in at. On the expenditure side, things are pretty well where we expect them to be. We still have those timing differences just with the guidance with the food service fringe that we've discussed, and then instructional software purchases that we purchased in general fund this year up front. Other than that, everything's trending right along where we expected to be from a percentage standpoint in comparison to prior years' spending, but based on the categories we have set. So I feel pretty good about that, about where we're going. One thing, this is not going to impact us this current year, but just something as we look forward to general fund next year and in the budget process is, every 1st of December, we get mailed the letter about our index of tax paying ability, and that's going to affect us in the budget season. So our index of tax paying ability, which again, that's essentially our district's property tax values as a percentage of the statewide property tax values, is essentially what it is. And our ITA, index of tax paying ability, went down from 0.00248 down to 0.00209. So that puts us 60th out of 73 school districts in the state in terms of our property tax base. But where that benefits us is that's a major factor in that state aid to classrooms calculation, and will essentially, by reducing that will increase our state support in that funding formula. And in a vacuum, plugging that factor into our current allocation, that's an increase of right around $400,000. So that's something to consider as we move into budget season, whenever we get projections, and being able to plug in that updated index tax paying ability factor, that'll be to our advantage as it comes in. So that is the preliminary number. It has changed some from the preliminary to the final, but it's been very minimal in past years. So that's something that will be to our advantage as we head into budget season. So other than that, that's what I have on general fund. Any general fund related questions? No? All right, I'll touch on our sales tax collection in the month of November. We received $251,863.47. Slight decrease, but nothing major, nothing to be concerned about. We've really traditionally seen a little bit of a downtick in November and December as we head into the holiday spending. So it's about a $16,000 decrease from last month. But again, these collections typically lag about 2 months behind of the actual spending, so that we would expect this to be the September spending. But you'll see, I expect the collections in the next couple of months hovering around that $260,000 range, and then in February having our largest collection there to reflect the December spending.
Wouldn't that month be the month that the hurricane hit? When was it, September or October?
That was late September. I don't know if I don't know exactly if it comes from the Department of Revenue. I don't know if they cut off right at the end of the month or not. So with it, that hurricane hit, the 26th, 27th or something like that. So we'll probably have a good idea next month whenever that comes in, which month that could have affected us. I guess with all the outages really occurring in early October, I would imagine it could affect us more next month. So that's a good point. It could come down a little bit more than expected based on that. And then of that 251,000, 50,372 of that is directed towards property tax relief, and then the other $201,000 is available for capital use as well. So we have one more month of this collection percentage, the 8.19% share, but we should see a slight increase starting in January with the 45-day updates. So. Any sales tax questions? All right. Thank you.
All right, one thing I wanted to share tonight, I was out in the community talking to some of our stakeholders, and we occasionally get questions about the electric buses, and so I just wanted to give a little bit of information. One big question I got was how much our power bill has gone up since we've got these electric buses, and in fact, the state pays the power bill. So I think a lot of our community members do not know that. So since Dr. Nixon works more closely with the buses, he's got just a couple of talking points so that if you get those questions in the district, I want us all to have the answers. But basically, our bus fleet that brings children to school every day is totally funded by the state. And so whether you think electric buses are great or not, they're still being funded by the state. But Dr. Nixon has a couple other talking points for you.
Buses that we replaced, the diesel buses, were all 2007, 2008 models. Diesel buses are 16 and 17 years old, off the road, and replaced them with the new electric buses. The installation of the chargers, the bollards, all the infrastructure to run the electric buses and charge those buses were paid for by the state, and all operational costs. So those buses were served by the Abbeville bus shop, just like all of our diesel buses are. So tires, any kind of maintenance, preventive maintenance needs to be done. That's all covered through that shop, and those costs are directed to the State Department as well. And on a side note, whenever we were working with Duke Power and the State Department and the electrical engineers, we were able to use a loop type system. We installed all the infrastructure for those chargers, and it offset some of the installation of the electrical work to the tune of a little bit over $80,000. So I don't know if you remember whenever we shared some of the cost savings that we captured in the J. Davis project. Some of that was getting very creative with that engineering, electrical engineering design, and the State Department allowing us to use some of that infrastructure to serve other areas that had to be sent power as well. So drivers like them. We have one bus that we've had some issues with, and it's been coolant leaking every time that we've had the issue with. So it's not anything having to do with the electrical side of it, but working with the State Department to either get that remedy or get a replacement bus.
Just wanted to provide that information so that we all had the answer to that question. Thank you, Dr. Nixon. Right, we're good. The appendix is just, I shared with you in the appendix, the entire report card for Ive Elementary in case you wanted to look at it. So he hit the high points, did a great job, but if you wanted to see every data point on it, it's there.
This time I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session for contractual and legal matters.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Thank y'all for coming.